Good morning, everybody, and welcome into the first piece of wrap-up content for waves 1, 2, and 3 combined. And I thought we'd start with ranking all the sets ever, which I think will be a fun journey. It means everyone gets a chance to see every single set that's ever been produced, as well as get to hear my final thoughts on them in retrospect as we're moving into the future of the custom set showcase. But in the meantime, here are some stats for you. So we have done 3 waves over the last feels like forever, years and a half, although I've been designing for 2 years. We've done 49 custom sets overall, with 22,288 total pieces and 187 minifigures or brick-built characters. And those are shocking numbers. That is an awful lot of time. I gave up calculating how much time we spent on this project because it's way too much and it's not good to look at. But obviously we're here to talk about all the sets together, but we're going to start by looking at some Wave 3 images, which I always do at the end of each wave. So here are all the sets piled up as if you've just bought them from the LEGO store in a big haul. You can see that this wave is actually probably one of the slightly bigger ones, and there were actually two 18+ sets in this wave. The Hyrule Castle Botanical Collection just isn't on this page. And here are all of the sets, including the flowers, on a store shelf. You can see that the Hinox is trapped in the box, the Tattle and Tail is our free gift, and you've got a cardboard cutout of Digilink to celebrate the release of the Digilink line, which also happened between last time we did one of these at the end of Wave 2, which was all the way back in May-ish, I think it was. And here is another little image based off the Wave 3 stuff where we have all three of the Hyrule Castles combined. More specifically, this is including the new Hyrule Castle Sanctum, which I designed again for a 100 sub special. You've also got the gatehouse as well as the wall segments all tied up, as well as a couple of copies of Yiga Clan Attacks, which could obviously be used as Hyrule Castle Town like replicas, which are just sort of dotted around the outside. On the inside, you can see the the battle pack for the Hyrule Castle soldiers, as well as the Divine Beast flanking the castle. Just a nice cool image that I thought I'd share before we get into this ranking. And also to parallel that, we have all of the dungeon sets so far. You can see a combination of Goma's Lair, the Fire Sanctuary, the Shadow Temple, Tower of the Gods, and the Builder Shrine Maker, just all combined here into a random order, as that was the nature of the modularity of the dungeon building system. And if this is your first time actually seeing any of these things, please go check them out. These are really cool. Like, I put a lot of time into designing how this system in particular works, and I would love it if the dungeons got some more support. Right now, you've seen this image already. Let's jump straight into the ranking of every single set, so all 49 of them, starting from the worst. And yeah, it's sort of obvious why this one's here. It's a small poly bag from Wave 1. It literally contained 25 pieces, no interesting minifigure, and this was before I redesigned the Cuckoo. Now, I have promised I am going to go back and redesign this set with a Cuckoo included, and that is mostly just so this set would actually be, like, desirable. But at the moment, this sits for sure as the worst custom set I've ever designed. And one thing we should probably preface before we go any further is that I do love every single set that I've made. I'm going to be unnecessarily harsh on a lot of them, and I have to say, when we get to the top, 15 or so, they sort of all plateau out and become equal. Like, there are parts I love more than others, parts of others, but at that point, we're so high up, and I'm so proud of them that it really doesn't matter. But this is all for fun. I thought I'd put them in order, and it's more about just getting to see them all again, as it's been a very long time since we've seen this Cuckoo Polybag. Next up on the bottom of the list, we had Z0023, the Ice Battle Pack, and this is one of those sets which I always call more of a concept piece rather than something I'm actually proud of. I include a lot of different minifigures and things in here, and builds that I didn't necessarily think were the best they could be. However, like I always say, this custom set showcase is supposed to give you more of ideas of what LEGO Zelda could look like, not 100% complete sets. And I think in particular, what lets it down for me is the lack of sustenance that this set feels. It definitely feels like a battle pack between the enemies, but I really hate the Ice Keys build and the big Freezard. While it has grown on me slightly, I'm really still not a fan of. But the mini Freezard and Chilfos from Twilight Princess and Ocarina of Time respectively still really stand out. I also think that the Rizwave inclusion is a bit strange, but moving on. To number 46, the first of the Divine Beast microfighters, as I called them, and this was Varuta, coming with an exclusive Nitha minifigure. Overall, in concept, this set is absolutely great. I just don't particularly like the way that Varuta turned out. Her legs do feel a bit chubby, but maybe I'm alone in thinking that. You'll have to let me know what you thought. I do particularly like the box art. I've always liked the box art for these Divine Beast microfighters, and this was one of the Series 2 ones. I just think that out of the four, and compared to everything else that we've made, it's not quite up to scratch. Moving into number 45, these power-up packs are always going to be low on the list just because they're not really good sets. Of course, I really like how it turned out, and Digilink looks absolutely ridiculous with his blonde wig, and by power-up pack standards, this one's actually pretty great. I really love the power that it actually gave Link, and then the actual like staircase like build is actually alright, especially for power-up pack standards. However, power-up pack standards are incredibly low, and they're really boring. When I rank the Mario sets in a couple of weeks, they're they're going to be low because they're just not interesting. Comparatively, you make a giant Hyrule Castle and you make this, they're just not comparable. However, one set that once again I think fell short in multiple ways was the Twilight Princess Ganondorf's Horseback Duel, which was designed to be a take on like the Lego buildable Hedwig thing, but this was more of like a buildable, like kinetic sculpture. So the idea was that you'd have three amazing desirable minifigures, which I do absolutely love, the Ganondorf in particular, and then you have them able to like ride up and down on horses on these little podiums with this little backdrop. Overall, I think the scale is messed up, the olive green box is bland, but the minifigures do really save this set. Just not the most interesting thing and not from my particularly favourite game either. I mean, it's better than if I tried to do like the actual duel on person, but I just not a huge fan. Number 43, we have Divine Beast Var Rudania, the second of the Divine Beasts, and once again the Series 2 counterpart for Mifa. This one came with a Daruk figure, which I think is absolutely creative, making good use of like that style of build they did for Biggie from Trolls. We've also got this nice backdrop, and Var Rudania definitely looks recognizable, hence why it's higher up than Var Ruta. However, the amount of recolors, and there's just something funny about the shaping. Overall, I do really like this one, I just think, once again, there's something missing. Number 42, again, we're keeping extra on track with these smaller sets. We have the Castle Troop Battle Pack. Now, this overall feels like a really good battle pack, and to be honest, it's grown on me slightly than from when I initially conserved it, but it definitely feels like it's missing something that's actually repeatable. I try whenever I make a battle pack to make it something that can actually be chained together and like used multiple times, and while I feel like the hedges and like the statue I feel like the ratio of having an excessive amount of gazebos, like every time you buy one of these, is way too much. However, including two Royal Guards and two Castle Soldiers is really nice to expand your castle defense lineup, and I think it's a great battle pack in that terms. Moving down to 41, just ever so slightly better, we have the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity like accessory pack, and I've chosen to put this one in here instead of the like old Sheikah version because this is actually the one I always wanted to make. We just didn't know at the time because Age of Calamity hadn't been released when it was designed. But this one includes 4 cool minifigures and a Terraco build, which I think is really super nice. We have young Impa, Robbie, and Pura, as well as a Sheikah Warrior, which would be slightly army buildable, although less so because you've got 3 named characters. Overall, a nice one-time pickup and one that I think works quite well. Number 40, we bring in our second of the 2 accessory packs I designed for our Digilink Wave. We have the Zora Link pack. I really love the build for this one. I think it's much better than the Champion's Tunic one, and the swimming function is a lot better, I think. The actual way he looks as well with the suit on is even funnier to me, hence why he's higher up the list, however still low in comparison, because once again, a power-up pack cannot really be comparable to what we're going to see at place number 1. A controversial pick down at number 39, I'm aware this is actually some people's favourites out of the custom sets I've done, the Tower of the Gods. This is one of those builds which I just ended up being disappointed with by the time it was finished. While it looks great, I can't help but feel it looks a bit chubby, the display ring around the bottom doesn't look absolutely the best, and it was included way more pieces than I originally intended. While I am proud of the actual like opening feature, I still feel that the interior was maybe lacking one interesting play feature, but it's more of a dollhouse style build with some great figures including the yellow Chew and the red Darknut, and of course the Godan fight at the top, which included a cool spring-loaded feature. Maybe this is another one to remaster, needs some stickers on the interior, King of Red Lions. Let's just go all out on it in the future, but for now I think it sits down at 39. At 39.8, we bring in our first advent calendar, and while I absolutely love and have a great deal of nostalgia for this build, especially all the things, it definitely feels less cohesive to me overall than a lot of the other custom sets. We included a lot of build and did a lot of world building, such as including our first Navi, the Majora's Mask Moon, another Korok, Christmas Terraco, and the Spirit Orb and Champions ability prints, but there just feels something missing, and while I love the Christmas tree wrapped up in lights, I don't think it's the better of the 2 advent calendars, and it definitely doesn't feel fully realised to me. One at 37, just ever so slightly better, and maybe actually I'd flip these two in hindsight. We have the Tattle and Tail buildable characters, which was the Wave 3 gift with purchase, and I think they look absolutely great. They're just boring, aren't they, really? I mean, they're balls. It's great to get buildable fairies, and I think they look perfect, and I really, really like if LEGO would actually give us the opportunity to buy a fairy like this. It's the perfect small 18 plus set, something that the 18 plus line definitely needs more of, but I really like the colours. They're just a very boring build. They're basically just round spheres. 36 is also a very similar case where we had one great minifigure, but there's nothing else really going on. This is Z0028, the Dark Link, which was our SDCC exclusive, and I really, really love the printing and like the actual design of the figure, but considering this would be really hard to get your hands on, and it's only a minifigure, it really can't hold a candle to what's coming up. Number 35 brings us Wolf Link's Attack, and this is the point where I start to go, well, I don't hate it. I actually do really like this as a custom set. It's just not the best one I've ever done. And that doesn't mean that it's bad, it's just not the best. And the Wolf Link figure here is great, the idea of getting a Boko Archer is really nice, and the small build is cool, but for a £10 set, this is really nothing special, but it does sort of have like a hint of something great. It definitely feels like a good £10 set. At 34, we have the 3 days accessory pack, which was the Wave 3 accessory pack that I did, and this one was obviously based off the side quest from Majora's Mask. The builds here really don't stand out, but the figures having both the Beaver Bros and then the Blacksmiths is really, really great, and for a small price, this was a nice world builder and very colourful as well. 33 brought us another Z0027, the Castle Wall Defense, which was a really, really nice buying multiple sets. It invokes Blackgate vibes from LEGO Lord of the Rings, where you buy lots of them to sort of make like the rings that go around the Breath of the Wild Hyrule Castle. You got a decent chunk of enemies and castle soldiers, and this was actually like the first like proper like sighting of multiple like castle soldiers before the battle pack. We have the really nice Moblin build, which a lot of people asked to be in a different scale, and I will definitely deliver that on the future. However, I sort of like the way he looks. 2 red Bokoblins and a silver Bokoblin also are really, really nice inclusions, and the actual build for the castle wall I think is one of the better of the castle builds I've done. At 32, this one's here again more for concept. The Builder Shrine Dungeon Builder was the dungeon builder where you get to rearrange all these different items to recreate any of the shrines in Breath of the Wild. And once again, I feel like this does a really good job at illustrating what it could look like, but it's definitely not my favorite build in like reality. I really love the Ancient Armor Link and the Guardian Scout, and of course the shrine build, like the actual like place where the monkeys, looks great, but I really think this illustrates the concept but doesn't do a particularly good job at existing on its own. At 31, we have the original version of the Hyrule Castle Sanctum. Now, one thing is, I'm putting this on here because this was an actual custom set showcase appearance. The remake I did of this, which obviously looks a lot better and would be a lot higher up my list here, I'm not actually including in this video, and that is because it wasn't actually like the original set. It was a subscriber special that I did. However, this set does still have a lot to offer despite being fairly low down on the list. This was obviously an unfinished model at the time. We had the Calamity Ganon build, which is still one of my favourites in the entire showcase. We have the Royal Armor Zelda and Royal Guard's first appearance, as well as Misko the Bandits, and then some great interiors. I've never seen a Hyrule Castle include the like observatory area below the castle before, and I think that really makes it stand out, as well as by including the rockwork, giving it a unique twist. I think if I had finished this castle back in the day, then I think I would have loved it a lot more, and it would probably crack the top 20 or maybe even the top 15. But in the meantime, it's pretty much saved by Calamity Ganon, and in the future I'd probably rank it higher. And up at 30, we have the Divine Beast Varna Boris, which was one of my favourite of the Divine Beast builds. I really love how the legs came out with the use of the dish pieces and the camel's humps. I think the body is built out well for such a small set and concludes obviously a great Urbosa minifigure and a seat for your champion. Another great interpretation of the Divine Beast microfighters, and I think the red box art does stand out very well as well. Moving into top 2039 now, I guess. The Big Octo Attack, the first of the expansion sets for our Digilink like wave. We have the King of Red Lions in his form, and there was lots of fun interactivities for our Digilink figure here. However, it was a nice small set, and actually, now that we look back on it, it sort of reminds me of the Dory's Beachfront expansion we're getting in the real LEGO Mario line in January of 2022, which I think is kind of cool. The chest inclusion was nice. I really, really loved the build for the Octo. However, it's just a small set. There's not too much to love here. The final microfighter to make it on this list caps the list at 28. This is the Divine Beast Var Meadow, containing a Revali minifigure, and Marveno was still my favourite Divine Beast, despite it being the easiest. I really love how this one turned out in LEGO, and I think the sand green top that makes Var Meadow unique really stands out. I also love the fact that the terminal for this one is actually exposed, which is really cool, and the shaping is as well. I particularly like the face and all the holes along the side, which was a mastery of Snotwork technique to create like the little window ports you see across the Divine Beast. The Revali minifigure also stands out, is using a rebuild of like a Genji bow from Overwatch I saw online. And that's it for that one. Moving on to 27, though, we have the second of the two expansion sets for the Wave Digilink. This was the Ganon boss battle, and while in the concept this one was absolutely great, and I do love how sprawling it is, it definitely feels a bit empty. Unlike the Bowser boss battle from the real Mario line, it's definitely missing like its figurehead. However, this was supposed to invoke NES Ganon, and I really loved the NES Ganon figure. I also particularly like the spinning keys. The Lizalfos looks so cute, and the hunt for the Triforce is also exceptional. I just think it's lacking that exciting play feature which makes most of the Mario sets unique, but it's still a solid custom set. At 26, we have a surprising entry, the Blight Ganon's Polybag, which made it very high. This is a 4-in-1 where you'd be able to build all 4 of the different Blight Ganon builds, depending on like which one you wanted, and if you bought 4 of them, you could have all of them. They were a weird scale, definitely bigger than a minifigure, but I think they work quite well, and obviously include a lot of cool trend elements to represent their hands. I think maybe they could have been a bit more unique if I'd done them at a bigger scale, but considering I had to use a very limited piece like amount to make these work, I think they came out really well, and I'm particularly pleased with this one looking back. Thunderblight definitely being the best looking, really stands out, and then Waterblight shortly behind. Overall, a really solid polybag, and one that I could see making a great concept in an official set. Ranking the top 25, we have the Castletown People Pack, which, let's be honest, while I do love the 2 Market Stall builds, this is here for the minifigures. So many Twilight Princess minifigures in one box. We had our normal Link, we had all 4 of the Resistance members, Charlo, and the rip-off Tingle from the Star minigame, 2 just civilians and Agatha all in one set. This was a great set for Wave 1 and really does feel like a People Pack to me. I love the Fountain build still quite a lot, and the play feature in the Star minigame is still cool as well. Overall, really nice set. I think it looks better with a remastered box art as well, and also a lot of awesome figures. But slightly better than that still, we have the Spirit Train Adventure, which just looks so wacky, and I so hope that we see a real Spirit Train in the LEGO Zelda line whenever that really happens. It just feels like such an underrated part of the 3DS games that really should be represented, and here I particularly love how the engine looks, the Demon Train, the station, and Angian as a build as well. Overall, it couldn't have quite cracked the list any higher because of how many pieces don't exist in those colours, and just there's something fairly blocky about it, and I really don't like the cannon car. It'd be very hard to make that work in real LEGO. However, I hope this is something we see with official track, and I wouldn't mind it being on the more expensive side. It's such an iconic piece of Zelda history, and I really like how it turned out. 23 have the first of a 2 minifigure series. This is minifigure series 2 with only 12 figures, and 12 figures might be the reason that this one's slightly lower down. Ever since minifigures dropped their number, it became sort of more disappointing that we wouldn't get a full series of 16. However, I did originally have 16 planned, and I cut my number down to 12, so those 4 figures will appear in future sets. However, the cast lineup here was really nice, and I think it is just the fact that series 1 was more nostalgic to me, how this one didn't overtake it. The inclusion of Cafe Anju and Baby Makar are absolutely adorable, and I love Skirvo, Ravio, and Vati as well. Ilya and the Dark Knight were great inclusions to round up our Twilight Princess lineup, and getting another 2 of the Sages is awesome as well. Overall, a really well-rounded series, and while it doesn't include a Link and Zelda, I think it still stands really strong on its own. At 22, we have the largest set of the custom set showcase. This is the Hylian Shield D2CZ0016, and this was entirely a display piece. This was my first foray into doing an 18+ set for the custom set showcase, and personally, I still do like how it turned out. It's absolutely massive, and it's designed to be a wall-mounted piece, as inherited by the 5,532 per piece piece count. It's huge, and I really love the detail I was able to get. While I think it looks a bit plain in some areas, display areas have never not been my strongest, so that's why all these playsets rank higher. But it's still really cool, and I'm still proud that I was actually able to finish the project, which is not something we initially expected. At number 21, we have the Wing Ceremony Z005, and this was a really, really cute £30 playset. This was my take on the two vehicle set, which I did make another attempt at later on in the custom set showcase, where you had two loft wings, some great minifigures, and then a small side build. Overall, again, it's just a small set that isn't quite as exciting as our top 20, but there's still a lot to love here, and I really do still like the loft wing builds, hopefully aiming to get one of those in real life very soon. Number 20, we have Escape from the Ranch, which again feels like one of those quintessential £20 play sets. I really love how all the fences look, and the fact that you could buy two and make a complete ranch is great. All the inclusion of the animals bumped up its price tag, but still worked really well, and I'm glad that I was able to include so many of the actual original things inside the water tower. We also had the Golden Skulltula, which I think was a nice inclusion. Overall, there's a couple of consistency errors between the characters, but I still think it stands nice and solid. Moving into 19, we have the Hyrule Castle Infiltration, which I just think is the better version of the Hyrule Castle walls. And while you can't tessellate them like the walls because you can only have one real entrance gate, I do love the inclusion of the Silver Lizalfos, the Hyrule Castle Soldier. The rooms in this one are much more interesting to me, and the Skywatcher also looks great. Overall, this really does add a sense of imposing nature to the Hyrule Castle layout that we've created so far, and I really think it does deserve the title of Gatehouse and actually the best of the three Hyrule Castle sets. At number 18, we have that other vehicle set I was talking about. This is the Prince Ralis Wagon Escort, which recreated that escort scene where you take Ralis to Kakariko. The inclusion or lack of inclusion of Ilya here was made up for in the CMF later in Wave 3, and I really like the nature of this set. It was really, really cool to make my own take on the Western genre with the wagon chase. Telma looks great, and I love the flame feature that pops out the top of the wagon. That was really, really cool. I've actually also really loved the Bulbo build, which was a real standout. It came out much better than I was expecting, and I really like it at this scale. To be honest, I've been tempted to buy a couple of these sets just so I could have an army of them, and the wagon still just looks great. Overall, really, really pleased by this set. I was not expecting it to turn out so well, and again, it captures that perfect synergy that I'm after in this LEGO Legend of Zelda crossover. Number 17, as I start to lose my voice, this is Z0010 Goma's Lair. This was the smallest dungeon set we've ever done, and actually I really like how it turned out. I love the reuse of the Ocean Monument play feature from that original Ocean Monument set, where you'd push down on the crystal as if Link had shot it with the slingshot for the doors to open, and the Goma build has continued to be one of my favourite for the boss builds. I also really like the Spider Trap, and it's just a nice small expansion to the Dungeon Builder system, and just proves that they don't have to be big. It just shows what's capable with a small £20 set, and despite what seems like a weird idea, I think it pulls off quite well. Number 16, we have Z011, the Guardian Attack, and this one may be surprising that it didn't make it higher. This was my £50 set, which was just supposed to be the build of the Guardian. Obviously, you could buy more to get lots of Guardians, but also included minifigures of Tracy and Link in his Champions unit, which was really, really nice to see. I really love the legs here, and to be honest, I still haven't found a Guardian design that I do like better than this one. The head was obviously inspired by another build, but it can also shoot a flick-fire missile, which is a really nice touch. I like the angling on his body, as well as just how powerful he stands, and I think he's really well proportioned as well. Overall, I'm really pleased with how my Guardian turned out, especially considering I did this towards the beginning of the showcase, but for something that was so iconic, I do expect to see this in official Zelda sets, and I think he looks great as well. At number 15, we have the Bokoblin Battle Pack, another one of the battle packs I made in this custom set. We have 4 Bokoblin minifigures, which is great, as well as a couple of elements from their camps, and this is one of the better battle packs for actually having something that's expandable. You can have as many watchtowers as you like, as many campfires as you like, and obviously their little wall segments are also really useful. Having the chest up on the top of the wall is also great as well, and just the inclusion of the scaling of the Bokoblins with more reds than the other two colours, and then having one black and blue. Awesome, just a really well-rounded set for a nice small price tag. Next up at number 14, we have a strange entry, which is Z0029. This was my 35th anniversary celebration set that I actually built in real life, which is why the box art looks a little bit different. This was inspired by Link's Awakening, and in particular, it was called the Goomba Cave, and this was inspired by that one screenshot where Link jumps on a Goomba and jumps over in the village, I think it is at the beginning. I don't know why, it's just sort of iconic to me from Link's Awakening, and I just love the idea that it's a one-to-one recreation of that scene using all official things, because we actually have an official Goomba, and that's what I was trying to get across, is that we actually already have official Zelda minifigures, and the Goomba shows it right there. Overall, I think this set just holds a lot of nostalgia for me. It's not the best build, it's more of a display piece, but I still think it came out well, and I just love the idea of, just like the Darth Vader's meditation chamber, being able to turn this small scene into this real one-to-one scale thing using completely existing parts is just perfect. Number 13, we have the Hinox Beach Rampage, one of the bigger playsets, and you'll notice that as we get to the top of this list, a lot of the playset style builds sort of just take over because I absolutely love this like more scattered 70 like pound approach for the playsets. I think back to stuff. oh, it's just like you get like this small vehicle, but then you also get this like, piece of landscape, and then you get this central idea. I just love the way that you set in any Lego license, and I think here, particularly in Breath of the Wild, it works stunningly. I really love my Hinox build, and I can't wait to do in other colours as well. The inclusion of Loon and Roscoe was something I knew I wanted to do from the beginning, and Cass's build looks great as well. The crushable crates are a really nice play feature, at least in my eyes, and I love all the Breath of the Wild food components that are included in this set, which obviously allow you to just pretend like you're cooking up different meals. The Hinox build being able to pick up a tree is also outstanding, and just I really like the way this set turned out. Number 12, though, brings us the Silent World Trial, a smaller playset, but one I still love entirely. The Land Guardian here became the first of my custom set builds to transfer into real life completely, including his stickers, and I still love the way he looks at this perfect scale. He looks so much like a Lego build to me, it's unreal. I love all the features I was able to squeeze into this small area, including a copy of the Bee Farm one for the Watcher, the idea you can launch the Sky Guardian, and the use of the Waking Water as well as the Spirit Tier. The negative colors link is really cool, and I love all of like the turquoise and sand blue, representing the Silent Realm perfectly. Overall, I cannot get enough of this set, and it definitely deserves a top spot. It's even using the £40 box square size, which I also really love. Number 11, of course, we have the LEGO Legend of Zelda minifigure series 1, which, yeah, this is mostly a nostalgia pick. The figures aren't the best drawn. However, I do believe, just like I've mentioned before, that this is a perfect concept. This is exactly what I would like to see in a first series of LEGO Zelda minifigures, except for now, of course, it would be 12 instead of 16. We have inclusions such as Beedle, a Link and Zelda variant, Demise, Ganondorf, Tingle. These are all characters that maybe would be harder to include in sets, well, some more than others, but would still look absolutely great to see in a minifigure series. I also love a couple of the unique accessories, such as small tassel and tail for Majora's Mask, Macau's guitar, and the Mirror of Twilight at a smaller scale. Overall, I'm still really pleased with how this series came out, and I cannot believe that, considering this was in Wave 1, that the figures haven't looked absolutely atrocious. And then we have at number 10 the Lizalfos Battle Pack. And this wasn't a set I was particularly expecting to be so high, but I still absolutely love the feature of including like multiple like the platforms. This is the battle pack that I feel embodies battle packs the best, at least at this point, where the platforms are all completely modular and you can create this large like Lanayru, like Lizalfos encampment, which is a location I actually love anyway. But the idea of you being able to make an exact replica and make it sprawl with the more Lizalfos you have all the time while collecting green, red, electric, and ice Lizalfos is just spectacular to me. And honestly, if I had to pick any of the sets to actually like be just carbon copied into Lego, like as if like in its exact form, like no changes, it would be this one. Because let's face it, the sets up the list up from here, I know Lego could do better. But to be honest, if I could choose one of my sets to be an official set, it would be this one, the Lizalfos Battle Pack. At number 9, we have the Koga helmet, a weirder concept that I don't believe LEGO would ever touch. However, it's my addition to the helmet collection line with one of the few characters that I think this could work for. This is the Master Koga helmet, and I honestly think it looks great. I cannot wait to have him built in real life, and I think he looks just like his helmet. And to be honest, he looks really cool next to the other helmets as well. So overall, a really solid set that made it up this high. Probably one of my favourite of the display pieces. With number 8, just outbeating it, which was the Master Sword pedestal from Wave 1. This was a perfect gift with purchase, one exclusive figure, some really cute Korok builds, and an accurate Master Sword pedestal pre Breath of the Wild. It'd be really boring to make a full playset that you actually have to pay for this location. However, it's revered enough by fans that I think it makes the perfect gift with purchase, and it's another one that I'd absolutely love to see their take on as a gift with purchase. We've used the Praying Zelda to represent her, you like dropping the Master Sword back into the pedestal, and I think it looks absolutely amazing, and I love the way it came out. This is another one of the few that I've actually built in real life, and I just think it's perfect. I really love it. But even more so, you cannot beat Digilink. He is the perfect human, I think. And despite what some people may think and wish this won't happen, honestly, I think it's so cute. I wish that this existed just for the laughs. Adventures with Digilink, the starter course here, is one of my favorite, well, the favorite box art I've ever designed. It looks perfect with all the shapes and angles, and just So good, so good. I really love the play features I was able to include in this one, and I think it represents the LEGO Mario course building system in Link's form the best, especially with the Gleeok fight and including the square Bokoblin as well. There's a lot to love here, and this one will go down as one of the wackier things I've done, but still one of my favourites. I still cannot get over how happy he looks, and I did voice acting for him as well, so definitely go check that one out. Next up at number 6, we have the Hyrule Botanical Collection, which is the last of the 18 plus sets to appear on this list. This was the flowers, and this one really grew on me. If you watched my custom set video on this just a couple of weeks ago, you will know that I did fall in love with this design when I came up with it. Again, a stranger concept that I don't believe LEGO would touch, but I love the idea of being able to put these video game flowers in the corner of your living room rather than real flowers. It just fits me, and I really love how it turned out. At number 5, we have Mank Kosha's Final Trial, which is another set I just really find fun. Originally, this was going to be in a lot later of a wave, but I really, really wanted to design the giant figure of Monk Kosha, and I think I did a great job. In particular, he's a different scale to the giant man, making him my own unique twist, and as soon as those bracket pieces become available in dark bluish grey, I'm 100% getting this figure. I really love the inclusion of the Master Cycle Zero, despite it being a bit of a canon break, because obviously this doesn't exist in the set at this point, but he just looks perfect to me, and he's one of my all-time favorite builds that I did as like a unit. Number 4 is the Fire Sanctuary, one of the larger dungeon sets, and this was actually the first of the custom sets, the one that started it all, so there is a heavy load of bias towards it. However, there is still a lot here, to me at least, that stands out, in particular the inclusion of enemies and just the amount of play features. I love the giant frog statue, the lava platform, the bombable wall, and it's still one of the ones that feels most like a LEGO set to me with all of the little inclusions. I love the little digging holes, the Girahim fight, and then like the inclusion of just all of it in a line, and the fact that it can be rearranged and it started off the dungeon building system is great to me. There's a lot here to love about this one, and if this is one of the few custom set showcases you haven't seen, please still go check it out. There is still so much to enjoy in this custom one. At number 3, making the top 3, we have our most recent custom set, Yiga Clan Attack, and I still also love this one as well. I love the idea of like the burning roofs and the fact that you could build your Hyrule Castle town from these. The buildings still look perfect to me, and I really like how they fit in the Hyrule style while still fitting your £70 playset style. The minifigure selection's great with Suga and the like 2 Yiga foot soldiers. The idea of the interiors is also great, and I love the amount of like little elements you get in here. It just fits so well, and it feels so much like a thing they could tackle, but also something that we might not ever see in Lego form, which just makes this set just so cool. At number 2, we have the Shadow Temple, which is the biggest surprise in the entire custom set showcase. This was a set I was not looking forward to making. I did not like the Shadow Temple from Ocarina of Time at all, and yet I still had so much fun coming up with place features. I've talked about it many a time that I may even have to make a sequel at one point. I love the Crushers, the Re-Dead Room, the Falling Coffins, the Dead Hand play feature, the Dropping Wall Master, the Flying Bubble, the inclusion of the roller coaster track, which was such a surprise that I didn't expect to do and then turned out so well. The idea of going through the True Sight Wall, the Bongo Bongo fight even, just everything here turned out so much better than I expected, and it's my favourite of like the true dungeon sets for just how rearrangeable it is, how well it works with the others. The roller coaster track adds up so much depth to the system, and I love the figure selection as well, with the Stalfos being my all-time favourite wave suit figure. And then taking our top spot is the Great Sea Adventure from Z004. This is a Wave 1 set that I think still holds up, as it perfectly was inspired by just a moment that I loved on the Great Sea when I discovered the Big Octo for the first time. It was such a great moment for me that I really, really enjoyed, and I think it translated perfectly to this price tag of set. Once again, just like the Hinox Beach Attack thing, we have the giant Big Belt character and then the side builds, having the King of Red Lions, the Warship, and Zephos, as well as the Chew jumping feature, the hidden treasure chest, all just are great. The figure selection is also outstanding, with the idea of you being actually able to shoot the Octo was incredible, and I just still think that the Octo actually looks great as well. To be honest, every time I look back at this set, there's still something I've forgotten. In particular, this time I'd forgotten about the treasure chest that popped up to reveal the Iron Boots, but there's so much to love in this set, and I really, really like the way it turned out. It's one of the perfect play sets that I've designed, and again, while I think LEGO could do a better job at necessarily designing a Great Sea Adventure, this one will always go down as probably my favourite custom set that I've ever designed. And while that's the ranking, I thought we'd take one last quick look at the sets as a whole. Here you can see Wave 1 on a shelf with the Octo in the box, Wave 2 on a shelf with Hyrule Castle, Wave 3 with the Hinox, and then imagining them on a Tesco shelf. And I love that. You know, wow. Just wow. yeah, a moment of silence for the custom set showcase. I'm going to go through these zoom outs, but really we're coming towards the end of the video here. So let me know your favorite set of all time. If anyone wants to rank all 58, 48, 49 in the comment, please go ahead. I'd love to see it. I'll pin the comment if anyone does it. A pure ranking, tell me why, reasons, favorite set, least favorite set, what you thought of each wave, 1, 2, 3, which one was your favorite. I want so detailed comments. Please just give me good feedback. I want like proper feedback. But that's actually going to do it for today. And I hope you guys have enjoyed taking a look back at wave 1, 2, and 3 with me and seeing which ones stood up to the test of time and just so much more. It's been an incredible journey, and I look forward to Wave 4, as well as taking a look at the minifigures and the displayability in the coming weeks. And I hope you guys are enjoying the Hyrule Castle series we're doing on Monday as well. Some more Zelda content for you as well. I cannot believe how much work this represents. Share this one as well. I don't often ask for it to be shared around, but I'd love people to get more of a look into this custom set. I think it's something so unique. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.